I was still holding the tart when my uncle told me not to come back again. It was warm cherry, his favorite. I'd baked it the night before using Grandma's old recipe, the one with clove and that odd quarter cup of brown sugar she always insisted on. I drove 4 hours in sleet to bring it to him like I did every year. It was Christmas. I was home. Also, I thought, we hadn't even said a prayer yet. The ham hadn't been sliced. The yams were steaming in the ceramic bowl my aunt only used once a year. And I was still standing, still smiling, still holding that tart when he said, "Return the $45,000, Molly, or don't bother showing up again." At first, I thought I'd misheard him or that it was some cruel little prank. Uncle wasn't the type for scenes, and Christmas wasn't a time for fights, not for us. Not until that night. But no one corrected him. Carla sat at the end, hands stiff in her lap like she was in church. Ben stared down at his plate. Even Auntie, gentle, humming Auntie, wouldn't meet my gaze. I didn't sit down. I couldn't. The tarpon rested in my hands, suddenly heavier than it ought to be. I looked down at it stupidly, as if it could offer answers. "Excuse me," I said. Uncle's jaw clenched. "Let's not make this worse than it is. What are you even claiming I did?" Carla finally looked up. Her eyes were puffy, eyeliner smudged at the sides like she'd cried in secret. But her voice was calm. "Auntie's funds, $45,000 vanished in November, right after you helped her sign up for mobile banking." My mouth opened, but no words came. It was true that I'd helped Auntie with her setup. She'd been wary of going digital, something about hackers and identity fraud. So I'd sat beside her one quiet Saturday, showed her the app, helped pick the passwords, answered all the security checks. She even copied everything into that flowered notebook we left in the pantry drawer. That was 5 weeks back. 5 weeks. And now they thought I'd stolen from her. "You can't be serious," I whispered. "You think I drained her money?" Ben finally spoke. His voice clipped, like every word was splintered wood. We didn't want to believe it, but the bank logs show it. Every transfer was done online. No one else had the info. No one but me. I looked at Auntie. She didn't blink, didn't nod, didn't shake her head, just dabbed her lips with a napkin like she might be ill. That's when I knew. The tart, the trip, the yearly gift, none of it mattered. I wasn't family anymore. I was an intruder. I set the tart down gently on the marble ledge. The tin tapped lightly against the stone. I grabbed my coat from the peg near the door where I'd hung it earlier. I didn't speak. "You've got until Friday," Uncle said quietly behind me. "Then we contact the attorney." I didn't cry in the car. I didn't shout or slam the dash like they do in shows. I just drove, coat still half zipped, the tart still untouched on the table behind me. The roads were empty, lit only by blinking reindeer and paper angels in windows. It was Christmas night, and the whole town smelled like pine and clove and quiet, except me. I checked into the same roadside inn I always passed on the way into town, but never had a reason to stop at. The clerk didn't ask why I needed a room on a holiday. I was thankful for that small mercy. The room smelled like old carpet and microwave stew. I kicked off my boots and sat on the edge of the bed, hands still shaking. I was 34 years old, a senior forensic accountant trusted with millions in corporate audits, and my own aunt and uncle thought I'd stolen from them. The worst part, I wasn't even surprised. Not entirely. There had been signs the way. Carla would roll her eyes whenever Auntie bragged about my promotions. The way Uncle had once asked, "Don't you think it's time to slow down? You know, enjoy things a bit." Like my career wasn't real life. Even last Christmas, when I'd offered to cover the cost of a new heater for the house, Ben had muttered something about me trying to buy affection. I thought they were just joking. I thought we were still family. I lay back on the comforter and stared at the ceiling. I tried to replay the day Auntie asked me to help with her mobile banking. Every tap, every login, every reset. Had I missed something? Had someone else seen the notepad we kept in the pantry drawer? The drawer. It was always unlocked. Anyone could have opened it. Carla still lived there off and on, depending on her job. Ben had a spare key to the house. I'd been the one to walk Auntie through the setup, yes, but that didn't make me the only one who knew. Still, they believed it. Believed I'd waited for her to get sick just to take her savings, $45,000, as if I needed it, as if I ever would. My phone buzzed. A text from Carla. We didn't want it to come to this, but you made it hard to trust you. No Merry Christmas. No. Hope you're safe. Just that, as if I'd broken something. As if I was the one who owed them an apology. I turned the phone face down. At work, I spend my days untangling buried embezzlements, ghost vendors, and false payrolls. I know what it looks like when money vanishes, and when someone makes it look like someone else's fault. And right now, someone had made me their fall girl. I stared at the ceiling until the lights blurred. If they wanted to treat me like the fraud in the family, maybe it was time I started investigating like one. The next morning, I woke early. No alarm, just instinct. Years of chasing corporate theft had taught me one thing: money doesn't disappear, it just gets redirected. The trick is knowing where to look first and who gains from the loss. I poured a cup of bitter lobby coffee and opened my laptop on the motel desk. My firm had recently been investigating a pattern of elder, financial abuse retirees with modest checking accounts that suddenly drained in 3 pulls, each just below the federal flagging threshold. It wasn't just one bank, but one name kept surfacing: Greenwell Mutual, Auntie's Bank. I hadn't told my family I was part of that investigation. It was technically confidential, but I had access to the case data, and I knew who to ask. I shot a quick message to Theo, the compliance lead handling our review. Just a name, a 5-week range, and a zip code. Within an hour, I had what I needed: timestamps, transfer logs, teller IDs, 3 withdrawals from my auntie's account, spaced 5 days apart. First, $20,000. Second, $15,000. Third, $10,000. Each one done in person, not through mobile banking. That was the first crack. They'd accused me of using the app, said I was the only one with access. But if the money was taken at the branch, it couldn't have been me. I clicked the attached security footage. Low res, but clear enough. The first video loaded: Greenwell Mutual, December 8th, 1:13 p.m. A young woman approached the counter, glancing over her shoulder nervously. Blonde ponytail, grey hoodie, oversized sunglasses. At first, I thought it might be a hired proxy, someone paid to impersonate Auntie. But then the girl leaned forward to speak to the teller and lowered her mask. Carla. Even through the grainy footage, I knew that face. I'd braided that hair, seen it crying over crushs and singing into hairbrushes. She tapped her fingers on the counter, fidgeting, handed over what looked like Auntie's ID, signed something. Her handwriting hadn't changed since high school. I leaned back in the motel chair, the flickering bulb buzzing overhead. They hadn't just taken the money, they'd staged it, timed it, waited until I helped Auntie go digital, then used that to frame me. I opened the second video. December 13th, same branch. This time it was Ben. No costume, no hesitation, just smooth, confident movements. He even laughed with the teller, signed like he'd done it 100 times. Third video, Carla again. Same hoodie, different shades. The smugness of it made my skin crawl. But one thing still didn't add up. How did they get Auntie's ID and banking info? Then I remembered. 2 weeks before I helped Auntie set up the mobile app, she'd gone for outpatient tests. Nothing major, just early diagnostics. Carla had offered to stay overnight with her. Auntie's purse was with her the whole time. Her checkbook, bank slips, driver's license. That's where it began. But it didn't stop there. I pulled up the metadata from the account setup. The first login after I left town wasn't from Auntie's phone, but from a tablet, connected to the house Wi-Fi. Same IP Carla used when she streamed her shows. And the OTP, it had been sent to a backup email I never created. I ran a check. The recovery number linked back to Ben. They weren't just careless, they were brazen, counting on no one looking deeper, counting on the successful niece being the obvious villain, counting on a unified front. I shut the laptop. This wasn't miscommunication. It wasn't a financial slip or emergency. It was calculated, and they used my love for Auntie as the perfect alibi. I zipped the laptop bag shut and picked up the phone. Not to call the police. Not yet. I called my firm instead. Asked Theo for something precise. Teller signature printouts. I'd need them for comparison. Then I slid open my suitcase and took out a slim black folder, the kind I used when preparing for court. If they wanted a villain in the family, I'd show them what it looked like when the villain kept receipts. I didn't text ahead. I drove back Monday afternoon, just as the sleet turned from silver to gold, in that strange winter light that always hit between Thanksgiving and Christmas, the kind of light that used to make Auntie's house feel safe. Not this time. The driveway was packed. Ben's SUV, Carly's hatchback, Auntie's old sedan. No guests, just blood. I parked at the curb, sat there a moment, engine ticking, one hand resting on the leather folder in my lap, the folder that held every receipt, every timestamp, every lie they assumed no one would bother tracing. Then I got out, climbed the steps, and let myself in. The house smelled like ham and cloves. The lights over the marble countertops were on. I could hear the soft hum of voices, the scrape of plates, a laugh that didn't belong to me anymore. They were all in the kitchen. Carla was perched on the counter, cradling a mug, legs swinging like she was 13 again. Ben leaned against the fridge, arms folded, eyes giving nothing away. Auntie stood at the sink, drying a ceramic bowl with slow, mechanical movements. Uncle stirred something thick in a pot on the stove. They all looked up as I entered, and silence settled like frost. I walked to the island and placed the folder on the marble, where we used to roll out pie crust. Then I opened it. "You believed I stole from Auntie," I said, my voice low. "Let me show you what really happened." The air shifted, but enough to feel it. I pulled out the first image, a still from the credit union's camera feed. Carla, sunglasses low on her nose, leaning over a counter, signing a form. December 8th, $20,000. Not mobile banking. Not me. No one moved. Not even Carla. The second image, Ben, relaxed in a navy sweater, slipping a check across the counter like he owned it. December 13th, $15,000. My voice stayed steady, only because I clung to restraint. These weren't strangers. These were the people I'd braided hair for. The ones who used to sneak bites of cookie dough when Auntie wasn't looking. Carla's fingers tightened around her mug. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. I laid out the teller logs. Same branch, same signatures. I matched them with your handwriting. Carla, from the note you left on the pantry last week. A beat passed. Carla finally spoke. Her voice was tight, almost childlike. "You went through our stuff." I tilted my head, calm. "You went through Auntie's." Auntie reached for the printouts, her fingers shaky. When she spoke, it was barely above a whisper, but the bank said it was done online. I nodded slowly. That's what they thought. But the withdrawal wasn't. The mobile access came later, from a tablet connected to your Wi-Fi. The backup email was one I didn't authorize. The recovery number was Ben's. Silence landed in the room of snowdrift. Uncle stopped stirring. Carla turned away. Ben stared at the floor like he could change the ending by not looking up. "You let me believe I'd betrayed you," Auntie said, more to the wall than anyone. "You told me not to come back," I said, even quieter, "and you never asked if I did it." That part, the absence of the question, was the blade, not the doubt, not even the lawyers. The silence. Carla finally looked at me. No guilt, just acid. "You always get everything. The job, the compliments, the trust. I just wanted to level the field." I studied her for a long moment. Carla looked older than she had the week before, or maybe I was just seeing her clearly for the first time. "You didn't level anything," I said. "You torched it." Ben cleared his throat. His voice was low, emotionless. "She be fine, Auntie. Rachel makes more than all of us combined." It wasn't personal. I exhaled slowly, trying to settle the cold crawling under my skin. It's always personal when it's family. I watched Auntie sink slowly into a chair, the folder still open on the table in front of her. Her hands lay in her lap, palms up, like they didn't belong to her anymore. Uncle finally spoke. "Rachel, what are you going to do?" I met his eyes. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel like the child in the room. "I'm not pressing charges, but I've sent the file to the family attorney. You can decide what to do with it." He nodded once, tired, hollow, smaller than I remembered. I zipped the folder shut. My hands moved on their own. Instinct honed from years of work, years of sorting truth from story. But this time, It felt final. You told me not to come back unless I return the money, I said. I didn't take the money, but I brought the truth. I waited for the words to sink in, then turned. Rachel, Auntie's voice cracked. I paused at the doorway. Thanksgiving's over, I said. You all made sure of that. I left without another word. Didn't take the folder. Didn't take the leftover pie. Just my keys. And whatever part of me still believed they'd ever choose me. I didn't drive right away. Just sat there, parked at the curb, watching the kitchen window glow from the outside. No one followed. The lights stayed on. Carla's laugh didn't return. Ben didn't come to the door. No one came running after me, and that, more than anything, told me what I needed to know. Back in Boston, the city felt different, sharper, more honest. I went back to work like nothing happened, but I was different. I stopped calling on Sunday nights, ignored the family group chat, let the voicemail icon blink for 3 days before I finally hit play. It was Auntie. Rachel, we were wrong. I know that now. I didn't want to believe it. I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive us. I just wanted you to know. The house feels empty. She hung up before the message hit a minute. 2 weeks later, a letter came. Real paper, real stamp. Inside was a photo me, Carla, and Ben, ages 6, 8, and 10, sitting cross-legged on the back porch in a jumble of Halloween costumes. I was the scarecrow. Carla had tinfoil wings taped to her jacket. Ben was just red paint from head to toe. On the back of the photo, one line in Auntie's handwriting: "We didn't know how much we would miss you until you were gone." No signature. Ben never called. Carla didn't write, but a cousin who still lived nearby told me they both moved out of the house. Auntie stopped speaking to them, said she needed space. I didn't ask what that meant. I didn't offer to come back. Instead, I made something new. I started a weekend seminar at the community college, financial protection for older adults. It wasn't flashy, but it was something I could control. One Saturday after class, a woman late 60s, kind eyes approached and said, "I wish I had a daughter like you." I smiled, polite, didn't say what I was thinking. So did mine. December came and went. No tree, no calls, no ornament exchange one I used to plan months in advance. There's a kind of grief no one warns you about. The kind that doesn't come from death, but from the realization that the people you loved chose a version of you they invented over the one who is standing right in front of them. And once they made that choice, they couldn't take it back. I still keep the folder, not on my desk, not in my office, just in a drawer beside the bookshelf under old tax returns and the copy of the mortgage. I haven't opened it since that night. I don't need to. The facts haven't changed, and neither have I.